Dishy and Spinny Sparkle Part 4. The two burly men at the gate were keeping everybody out of Paul Mazik's place. He'd been a mean man, really, because Rich had owned a lot of land around, owned a couple of mines, and when the climate and the mines changed and he wasn't going to be able to sell his tin at the right kind of prices, he just closed the lot and threw the men out of work and said, well, that's your lot. Nobody was very pleased with him, least of all the tradesmen who used to supply him with stuff, because he just didn't pay anybody, didn't do anything. He just closed it and looked after his own money. So the two burly guys said, what do you want? And they explained, and they showed her Patsy lying in the back of the thing. Well, they looked at this beautiful girl lying in the back and heard that read and thought, we'd better get Paul Mazik. So they let them in through the gates, called for the Lord to come down. Well, he wasn't really a lord at all. He just called himself Lord Paul Mazik because he liked to think of himself in that sort of way. But rich enough he was. And he came down and he looked at Patsy and he thought, interesting. And he listened to the read and he heard that. And he said, so what do you want me to do about it? Jan said, I want to go down your mine and I want to go down to the adit where the magic spring is and bring back some water and sprinkle it on her and see if that works. Because it keeps singing, bring me magic water and sprinkles from a can. And the reed did dutifully sing that. And Paul Mazik said, but those ladders are all rotten. They're all green and covered in moss now, and the place is wet. I don't even know that adit's not flooded yet. Pumps have been off for a long time. Jan said, well, you know, I got nothing to lose. So I'm going to go down there and see if I can find it. What's on your head? Said Lord Paul Mazik. He said, you go down there, you fall off that ladder, I'm not sending anybody down after you. That place will be your grave. You understand, son? I get it, he said. And with that, Jan, with his pack on his back, put his miner's helmet on his head. Nice piece of clay, a couple of candles in there. Didn't light the candles because you don't light the candles till you get to the bottom. And then he started to climb down. Now, how many fathoms down it is, I don't know. A fathom's about the height of a tall man. And they would go down hundreds and hundreds of fathoms, sometimes down many, many ladders. Jan climbed down for what was about an hour. Down and down and down he went in the dark, getting darker and darker. He still didn't light his candle till he got to the level that he wanted to. Lit the candle, checked the piece of wood on the wall on which was scrawled the level, worked out where the adit was and started to crawl along it. The piece of passageway got narrower and narrower and narrower until he was almost on his belly creeping along. Took the bottle out of his knapsack, reached it out as he crawled, filled it from the trickle of water that came out at the end. Put a cork in the top, popped it back in his bag, inched his way back along the passage and started to climb ladders, ladder after ladder after ladder. And when you're climbing a ladder, you don't hold the sides, you hold the rungs. Because if you hold the sides and you slip, your hands will go like that and slide down. But some of them rungs was a bit rotten. And at one point, he reached up, grabbed hold of a rung, and it came off on his hand. And he swung backwards, and his back hit the wall. And as it hit the wall, there was a tinkling noise, and he was worried that his glass bottle had broken. So he hurried up the last ladder. Oh, you're back, they said, as he came to grass, crawling out the top. He said, yeah, quick, I think the bottle's broken. But he dragged his grouse tin out of his bag. The bottle was inside, and he held it over Patsy. the last few drops of water dripped out of the corner, the broken glass tinkling inside, and the few drops of water landed on Patsy's face. Everybody looked. There she was, lying there. Suddenly, her eyes opened. "Sisters, how nice to see you," she said. The two sisters started to back away, but the two burly guards grabbed hold of them not so fast. They said, "You could stay with us." Palmazic said, "Is this Patsy then? Has she woken up?" "Oh, Lord Palmazic, how do you know me?" he said. "Oh, I know a lot," she said. "Have you got my fishy dishy and my spinny sparkle, Dad?" she said as she sat up, just as if she was rising from her bed. Dad said, "Yeah, I brought it with me." Handed it to her, and she looked in it. She said, "Lord Palmazic, I'm going to make your fortune. I can see your packet ships, and I know what trade you're going to be able to do." And she told him one or two things, and he thought, indeed, she will. "What shall I do with these two sisters of yours? Take them outside and hang them from the nearest tree, I should think." "Well, they thought they'd killed me, but really they hadn't. So maybe a better punishment might be that they work in your kitchens." And that's what they did. For the rest of their days, they worked cleaning, cooking, doing the laundry, washing the clothes of Palmazic's men. They didn't have much time to look pretty and to try and court the nearest young fellas. Patsy and Jan, I wonder what happened to them. Fairy stories would have them wed, but these times were tough. Jan took a reward from Palmazic. It was enough to pay his passage across to Peru, where he opened the first pasty shop, made his fortune. Young Patsy, she married Lord Palmazic, and they lived well and richly till the end of their days. And old man Penaluna, he had the comfort of his retirement, and people looked after him. My sparkle, it spins in the dish where it sings, and it means the whole world to me. My sparkle, it spins in the dish